Hello and welcome to Solar Alberta's 2022 Solar Show. This session is called Energy Transition in Deep Energy Home Upgrades in Edmonton. Please note that we have enabled closed captioning for this presentation. You can turn the captioning on in the toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. My name is Mackenzie Velders and I am the Public Awareness and Communications Assistant at Solar Alberta. I would like to take a minute to acknowledge that I am hosting you today from Fort McMurray, Alberta. Fort McMurray is located on traditional Treaty 8 territory in the homelands of the Métis. Treaty 8 territory is the traditional gathering place and home of many Indigenous peoples, including the Cree and Dene, nations whose ancestors have cared for and nurtured these lands since time immemorial. Please note that we will be recording this session and making it available on our website and YouTube channel following the show. We were delighted to have so many people register for this week and for this event. To start, we would like to thank the City of Edmonton Change for Climate for sponsoring the 2022 Solar Show and for sponsoring this session in particular. We are happy and grateful to have them as a sponsor. Today, we will be hearing from Lauren Hall about the resources and financial support opportunities available to Edmontonians looking to achieve deep energy retrofits and net zero ready homes. Following the presentations, there will be a Q&A period in which you can all participate. The formal Q&A will run until 1:15, and then we will be inviting you to join us for an additional 15 minutes and a more relaxed Zoom meeting Q&A at the end. The entire session will wrap up in an hour and a half. The link for the extended Q&A will be posted in the chat at the end of the formal Q&A. So please make sure to copy the link before leaving the webinar. As this is an online conference and trade show, I would like to encourage you all to check out our online trade show during the week. We have listed here all the wonderful organizations who are participating in the trade show. To view their exhibitor booths, which include a listing of key solar related services, contact info, and video introductions, please click on the link in the chat. During our formal Q&A period, we will be using Zoom Q&A for questions rather than the chat box, so please enter your questions there. Before we move forward, we are going to do a quick poll to get a sense of who we have joining us today. Please take a minute to answer the questions popping up on your screen now. In the meantime, while we wait for those responses to come in, I encourage you to also take a minute and pop your name, land acknowledgement, any contact info you are comfortable sharing in the chat now and throughout the event so that others can look you up on LinkedIn and some relationships can begin to be formed.
The poll hasn't quite popped up yet, and I'm not able to. Are you folks able to launch that poll?
I think the poll is running now.
It's running, yep.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for participating. It is always helpful to know a little bit about the audience before we dive in. Would you mind sharing those results with us and the participants? Excellent. Thank you. And now for a little about Solar Alberta. Did you know that this is Solar Alberta's 31st year of operation? Solar Alberta is a not-for-profit society that is dedicated to accelerating Alberta's transition to a just and sustainable energy future. We do so by advocating, educating, and serving as an industry and community hub. Our membership is made up of over 350 individuals and businesses. We provide a number of services, including managing a solar directory through our website. In this way, we act as a bridge for installers and suppliers to connect with their customers and clients. You can see a screenshot of the directory here on the slide. In addition to our website services, we run a number of educational programs such as the Solar Seminar Series, new multilingual Solar 101 workshops, including one in Hindi that is planned for February 23rd, and of course, this incredible annual solar show. We are very proud to share that in 2021, our solar show reached people from over 60 different municipalities and counties, which you can see on this map with over 2,000 people registered for our show this year. We anticipate excellent reach across our province and around the world once again. In addition to our live online programming this week, we also have great content available on our website from our 2021 show that is still relevant today. We have spaced our sessions out in such a way this year that you could easily view one of those other sessions in between live webinars this week. And for those of you who are solar industry professionals or transitioning into the sector, you will be pleased to learn that we have made available all of the paid content from last year's solar show via our new pay-per-download training service. You can go to the training video link in the chat to find those affordable workshops. In addition to some solar show workshops that are industry oriented, this spring we will once again be running a number of online courses for solar industry professionals or those transitioning into the sector. Our 7 courses are online Tuesday and Thursday evenings on 3 to 5 nights over 2 to 3 weeks. You can already register for all of our courses at the link provided in the chat. Those include the brand new courses about working with Alberta's wire providers, which will expand upon the related workshop being offered this week. Also, if the course you are interested in isn't offered at this time, or at a time that works for you, you can now pay to download most of our past course and paid workshop content. These recorded courses are also available alongside our paid workshops in the new solar training video section of our website. We would like to take this opportunity to encourage you to join Solar Alberta as a member. For this week only, we are offering a discount on our individual and student memberships to celebrate having turned 30 in 2021. From February 7th to 11th, you can purchase an individual or student membership with a 30% discount. The link to become a member is also being placed in the chat. On March 16th, we will be hosting our annual general meeting, and I would like to invite you all to sign up as Solar Alberta members, attend and elect your new board. There are a number of vacancies to fill on the board this year. If you're interested in applying to serve on the board, you can do so through our website until February 18th. If you can't quite commit to board work, but are looking to support the work that we are doing at Solar Alberta, please consider volunteering or donating. Volunteers are eligible for free membership within Solar Alberta after committing 15 hours and are also eligible for $100 off of the course each year. The links to sign up as a volunteer or donate are also now in the chat. And last but not least, I want to take this opportunity to mention that this past year, Solar Alberta won an Emerald Award in the Community Group or Nonprofit category. As part of our Emerald Award, the Emerald Foundation kindly made a short documentary about Solar Alberta. After the session, you can feel free to check it out in the link we are sharing now in the chat. We are incredibly proud and thankful to have been recognized in this manner for the second time in our history. And now I'm delighted to get this session underway by introducing Lauren Hall. Excellent. Hi. Okay. Lauren Hall is the Residential Energy Community Programs Coordinator at the City of Edmonton. Her work focuses on the implementation of initiatives that mitigate energy use and greenhouse gas emissions in Edmonton's residential sector. Programs Lauren works on include Edmonton's Home Energy Retrofit Accelerator and the Residential Solar Rebate Program. Lauren holds a Bachelor of Science in Environmental and Conservation Sciences from the University of Alberta and a Master of Business Administration and Community Economic Development from Cape Breton University. She has over 10 years experience implementing environmental sustainability and energy efficiency programming in institutional, public, and nonprofit settings. Through her career and education, Lauren has developed a strong background in comparative development, co-creating solutions, climate action, greenhouse gas accounting, active transportation, green building, and energy reporting. Thank you for joining us today, Lauren, and I'll pass the mic over to you now.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for the introduction, Mackenzie. Let me just get my screen shared. Perfect. All right, so hi everyone. I'm really excited to be here today chatting with you about the City of Edmonton's energy transition programming. Thanks so much for having me. So just a note, I'm not gonna be able to check the chat too much as I'm going through the presentation, but yeah, we'll be happy to answer a bunch of questions in the Q&A at the end. I'm also going to mention now that I have a few colleagues that have joined the session today as participants, and they will be in the chat in the Q&A. So maybe if I could get Adam, Lita, Andrea, and Barbara to introduce themselves in the chat, that would be fantastic. And then, yeah, so this is the brief outline I've put together about what we're going to cover in today's session. So we're going to chat about the updated Community Energy Transition Strategy and Action Plan. And then we're going to dive into some of the rebate and financing programs that the City of Edmonton has in place, or will soon have in place, to help Edmonton achieve those deep energy retrofits. So first things first, first things first, we're going to start off with a brief overview of the updated Community Energy Transition Strategy and Action Plan. So our update, oh, I feel like I missed a slide. There we go. Yeah, so this picture is taken out the window of Edmonton Tower in April of 2021. So I'm guessing that this picture looks familiar to you. We're having more and more of these smoke events. And yeah, we show this photo because it's a great visual representation of the need to keep global warming within the international goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius. Taking action to address climate change is important for our future, and Edmontonians tend to agree with this. Our savers indicate that 74% of Edmontonians are very concerned about climate change and believe that we need to act now. To help further progress toward our climate goals, the City of Edmonton has renewed its energy transition strategy and action plan. We did this in spring of 2021. So this updated strategy builds off the work of our 2015 strategy document and sets even more ambitious goals to ensure that we're doing our part to be able to meet this international goal. So here's some high-level goals from our updated strategy. So I'll just go over them with you. So by 2025, we need to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 35%. And by 2030, our goal is to further reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50% and also generate 10% of our electricity locally. And then by 2050, our goal is to have net zero greenhouse gases per person in the City of Edmonton. The full strategy is available online. So if you're interested in digging into the details, I encourage you to find it and take a look. It's a very comprehensive document. But yeah, achieving our goals is absolutely going to require community action. We can't do it all just as city administration. So I'm really excited to share more information with you about tools that we have available to help you if you wish to contribute towards our climate goal. So in order to inform our strategy and action plan, we had to look at where our greenhouse gas emissions were being produced. So today we're going to be focusing on the commercial and institutional buildings wedge of this chart, which works out to about 20% of our municipal greenhouse gas emissions. And then also the residential building portion of this chart, which works out to about 18% of our municipal greenhouse gas emissions. The City of Edmonton wanted to provide programs to help reduce emissions in these two areas, as well as the other areas of the pie chart, but I'm going to talk about those two areas specifically. So that brings us to our suite of energy efficiency community programs. So the first program I'm going to talk about today is Edmonton's Home Energy Retrofit Accelerator, which is for homes, not surprisingly with a name like that. So the Home Energy Retrofit Accelerator, or HERA, as we like to call it, and as I will be calling it moving forward, it's quite a mouthful, is a rebate program that's run by the City of Edmonton that helps homeowners understand their home's energy use and provides financial incentives to help encourage home upgrades and deep energy retrofits. So this program has been around for just a little over a year. It launched in January of 2021. And during this time, we've had over 1,200 enrollments in the program. The bulk of these have come in after the launch of the Canada Greener Homes Grant last summer. And I'll be touching a little bit on that program later. But yes, as of the end of 2021, we had provided rebates on 453 energy efficiency home upgrades across 288 unique homes. And we only expect this number to grow over the next year of the program. We're very excited. Yeah, the upgrades done to date will result in emission reduction of 5,034 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. And as we enter the second year of our HERA program, we're going to be redoing a review of the first year of the program and incorporating any feedback that you receive. And we're also going to be making adjustments to accommodate our upcoming programs too, like the Clean Energy Improvement Program, which I'm also going to touch on later. So HERA's purpose is kind of fourfold in our mind. So first, we want to make home energy efficiency more accessible to a greater number and diversity of Edmontonians. We want to maximize the greenhouse gas emission reductions by encouraging more significant home energy retrofits compatible with net zero pathways. We want to advance Edmonton's retrofit economy and make sure that we're triggering that local economic action in building industry capacity. And then we also want to stimulate the market for proper valuation of energy efficient homes by making household energy performance information available publicly. So you might be wondering what kind of rebates are available under HERA and what the program details are. And first and foremost, I would say that you should Google the HERA program and check out our program user guide because all of the specifics are in there, which is great. But HERA provides rebates on a variety of home upgrades in general, including windows, insulation, water heating, space heating, and a few more items. But what I really wanted to touch on in this slide is that the program has been specifically designed to encourage deeper home retrofits through providing more significant rebates for those who are making deeper renovations and moving towards net zero. So some examples of how HERA does this includes providing a bonus rebate of 20% for homeowners that are pursuing 3 or more upgrades. So if you do 3 individual upgrades, you get a bonus of 20%, and then you keep on getting those bonuses as you do more. It also provides a greater rebate for renovations that are keystones towards achieving a net zero home. So if you upgrade your insulation, for instance, you can actually get rebates for up to 50% of that project cost in some cases, which is pretty high. There's also a $10,000 rebate for homes that go net zero. Okay, in terms of HERA eligibility, the types of homes that are eligible for HERA include detached, semi-detached, row homes or townhomes, mobile homes even, and then even existing suites located within any of these types of homes. But no matter what type of property you're actually renovating, an energy advisor needs to perform an EnerGuide home evaluation on your dwelling, both before and after the retrofits. So I'll go over the process for participating in HERA now. So to start the process, you're going to hire an energy advisor to perform an EnerGuide home energy evaluation. And then once you have the results from that, you're going to enroll in HERA using the EnerGuide label and any recommendations that the energy advisor provided you. After that, you get to upgrade your home. So you'll go through the HERA program guide and decide which upgrades you would like to make on your home, and then you make them happen. So most of these you'll want to hire a contractor for, or for certain projects you can do it yourself. Once you're enrolled in HERA, you have 18 months to complete your HERA projects. Then step 4 is to get your rebates. So as you complete your upgrades, you can submit rebate application forms. So as long as you have all the supporting paperwork and the eligibility requirements are met, your check will be placed in the mail. And then at the end, you have to get your results. So you finish up your HERA project, and then an energy advisor will come back and do a post-retrofit EnerGuide evaluation. And then the new EnerGuide label will show the impact of your home, or the impact of the upgrades that you did on your home. So it'll show the difference in the energy that you're saving. Okay, so we like to talk slightly or a little bit about a pathway to net zero. Since HERA has incentives to stack upgrades and to pursue net zero, we have a general pathway that we like to recommend that homeowners consider when planning out the order of their HERA projects. There's some caveats to this process, which I'll talk about in a second, but generally we recommend this sequence for deep energy retrofit projects. So first we want to ensure that we're making it tight. So efficient homes don't let much air escape. So whenever you do an improvement, you want to make sure that you're minimizing the treated air leaving your home. So this will include things like air sealing, like caulking around windows and doors, that kind of thing. And then you want to make sure you're insulating right. So you want to reduce the amount of heat loss through exterior surfaces. So you want to make sure that there's no warmth from inside your house or being transferred through the wall to the exterior of the house, or in the summer, vice versa. And then step 3 is to size for the space. So homes that are insulated better and are more tightly sealed require less space heating, and often you can get away with smaller heating equipment. This is also a cool time that you can explore heat pumps. And then the last step would be to make up the difference. So essentially, this is all about generating your own electricity in order to meet all your electricity needs for the household once you've gone through the other steps. But most importantly, we want everyone to remember that every building is different, and as such, it's best practice to hire a building professional or contractor to help you understand your home and personalize your pathway to net zero. This advice can help ensure that your current and future renovations are complementary to one another and are aligned with your goals, whether they be deep energy retrofits or paving the way to net zero. Even minor renovations, like if you install new flooring or replace your furnace, that are completed without considering your future upgrades, can limit your ability or just make it much more expensive to achieve net zero if you want to go that way in the future. So the sooner the better in terms of exploring this pathway for your home specifically. So before I move on to our next program, I'm just going to touch on Edmonton's home energy map. So this map has been growing since it was launched in 2017. It's a platform for voluntary home energy labeling and disclosure. This public sharing of data allows transparency and it allows the ability to easily visualize the efficiency of Edmonton's home building stock. So this map will be undergoing a redesign project in the near future. I don't know if anyone's tried to load it recently, but it's a little bit slow. But yeah, it's worth checking out. So currently we have over 5,000 homes on the map. About 2/3 of those are existing and 1/3 of them are newly constructed homes. But each home on the map is going to have an EnerGuide label, like the one pictured on this slide right here. And the reason I bring this up now is because if you are participating in HERA, it's a requirement for you to share your EnerGuide labels on this map and to contribute towards energy transparency and information sharing. So the next home rebate program that the City of Edmonton offers that we think is particularly relevant to this solar show is the Change for Homes Residential Solar Rebate Program. At the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned that one of the City of Edmonton's goals is to reduce 10% of our city's electricity locally by 2030. Renewable energy installations like solar are one way that we can work to achieve this. So we're at a solar conference. We all know that solar is pretty awesome and that there's a ton of benefits to it, from reducing our greenhouse gases or becoming more energy independent. But the one that I'm going to highlight here is that Edmonton has great solar potential along with the rest of Alberta, but we are one of the sunniest cities in Canada. So it really makes a lot of sense that we have a solar rebate here. To date, our solar rebate program has been active since 2019 and has provided rebates to over 550 systems, totaling 4.8 megawatts of installed capacity. And I will note that the program that started in 2019 was sparked by Energy Efficiency Alberta and was transferred to us once they closed out. So in terms of rebates for our solar rebate program, we offer 40 cents per watt for existing homes and 30 cents per watt for new homes. Our rebate cap for solar for our program is $4,000 per dwelling or 40% of system costs, so whichever is lower. Each property owner or builder is eligible for a maximum of $50,000 in rebates per calendar year, which might include multiple projects. So like if you are a developer and you're building homes, you can get up to $50,000 from us, from the rebate program to install solar on those new homes. But I will also note that only 50% of the annual program incentive budget will be allocated to new construction projects each year. Okay, so eligibility. In this in this case, we're only providing rebates on solar PV. So we don't provide rebates on solar thermal currently or battery storage. Things that can be included in claimed toward the rebate include racking, inverters, bidirectional meters, modules, etc. But the system must be compatible with the Government of Alberta's microgeneration regulation, and it must be grid connected. And I should also note that solar systems can be installed on all residential homes and building types. So things like single family, multifamily, and secondary suites. And we also allow garage systems. But I'll also note that we don't allow system expansions. Okay, so much like for HERA, we have a little participant journey here that I'll walk you through quickly. So step one for the solar rebate program is to complete a pre-retrofit EnerGuide home evaluation. So you'd hire an energy advisor to do this. Step two would be to hire a qualified solar provider. So Solar Alberta has lots of information on how to do this. And then step three, your solar installer is to understand your home solar potential. So your solar installer can answer all of your questions about economics, technical aspects, and the rebates for your solar PV system. And once you're comfortable with that, you can have your system installed and claim your rebate. So the solar installer can also take care of approvals, permits, and claiming rebates on your behalf. Once you are enrolled in the solar rebate program, you have 9 months to complete your project. And then the last step that only is applicable to existing properties, not new builds, is once your installation is complete, you can call back your energy advisor for a follow-up post-retrofit EnerGuide evaluation. So I'm going to walk through a really quick example calculation to get a better understanding of the financial benefits. So here we've got an 8 kilowatt, a hypothetical 8 kilowatt residential solar system. It comes out to a total of $18,960. So through our residential solar rebate, 8 kilowatts at 40 cents per watt works out to about $3,200 in rebate directly from the city. And then we've also factored in the Canada Greener Homes Grant here. So in terms of rebates, the Canada Greener Homes Grant can give you a maximum of $5,000. So in this case, we've just assumed that full $5,000 is going towards the solar system. So that's another $5,000 in rebate. So this brings the total homeowner cost down to $10,760, $10,760, with rebates covering about 43% of the total system cost. And I also, while we're talking about solar, would love to bring up the MyHeat solar potential map. So this is something, this is a great tool that we have online that helps homeowners visualize the solar potential of their homes. So for any given address, MyHeat will generate information on the number of usable sunlight hours, as well as the area available for solar panels on your home. And it also provides, I think I was just told the other day that we've updated it. So it provides an estimate of the rebates available to you for your system through both municipal and federal programming. So it's a really cool tool if you've ever have a chance to check it out. So before I start talking about commercial programs, I would love to take a second just to bring up the Canada Greener Homes Grant, because I'm sure a lot of people are interested in this. I just have some really high level information about it. So first off, I want to mention that it can be stacked with our HERA and solar rebates. And it's a federal grant that can be leveraged for those homeowners looking to save more on those energy efficiency retrofits. So participating in the Greener Homes Grant program also requires EnerGuide assessments like are required for HERA and solar. And as such, it includes rebates of up to $600 for pre and post EnerGuide evaluations, as well as that $5,000 I was talking about to support home renovations and solar installations. All right, so next I'm going to talk about the programs that are available to you to encourage deep energy retrofits to commercial buildings. So if you think back to that pie chart I showed you at the beginning that shows the city's greenhouse gases by sector, commercial buildings made up about 20% of our emissions, which is about a fifth of them. So the first program I'm going to talk to you about is our building energy benchmarking program. So before we start actually talking about retrofitting commercial buildings, we need to assess our building energy use and plan our path to reducing our energy consumption. So benchmarking is a great way to do this, and it's actually mandatory to participate in this benchmarking program before you access the city's commercial rebate program. So as a participant in our benchmarking program, you will participate in building level energy reporting, benchmarking, and disclosure. And for this, you can use, you'll be utilizing Energy Star Portfolio Manager to track your energy use. In order to access this program, you must be a commercial, institutional, or multifamily building over 5,000 square feet. And as a result of participating, you'll be eligible for a $10,000 rebate toward the cost of an ASHRAE Level 2 energy assessment for your building. So it's pretty cool. There's also a ton of non-financial incentives to participation as well, including things like building scorecards, utility data access, awards, recognition, and also networking. So after you participate in the benchmarking program, you're eligible to register for the Building Energy Retrofit Accelerator, or HERA, which is the commercial counterpart to HERA. So this is a program that facilitates renovations that improve the energy efficiency of commercial, light industrial, and institutional buildings in Edmonton. So with financial incentives for the retrofit projects, participants benefit from short and long-term cost savings from reducing their building's greenhouse gas emissions. So rebates in HERA are available up to a maximum of 50% of the equipment and labor costs for an upgrade. There's a minimum rebate of $1,000, and the maximum will depend on whether or not you install a heat pump. But ultimately, the most you can get in a rebate per year per company is $150,000. Additionally, participants can stack rebates from HERA with other grant programs to the city, other levels of government and other organizations, but it's just important that the rebates received do not exceed 100% of the total project cost. There's also some rebate bonusing with HERA as well, so just to encourage those deep energy retrofits. So first we have a certification bonus. So this is to encourage participation in third-party green building certification programs. So it will cover 50% of the certification cost, as well as a 5% bonus rebate on all equipment rebates, which is pretty cool. And then there's also the bundling bonus. So to encourage those deep energy retrofits, participants who install upgrades from more than one of these categories will receive an additional 5% rebate for each category they install. So we have our lighting, controls, HVAC, and building envelope. So say you installed lighting and controls, or like an upgrade from lighting and controls, you would get a 5% rebate. But if you still installed an upgrade from lighting, controls, and HVAC, you get a 10% upgrade. And a 10% upgrade is, or sorry, a 10% rebate is the maximum. So yeah. There are two ways to participate in HERA in the participant journey. So the first method is to use a pre-approval. So this means that before you start your renovations, you would submit your project plan and quotes to the City of Edmonton and get pre-approval to proceed with the renovations. So this means that funds are going to be held for you and you're definitely going to get the rebates. If you choose this method, you have a 9-month window to do all of your renovations. So there's a bit of a time limit on it and you have to do all of your work at once. The second method to submit for HERA rebates is to do the post-installation method. So this means you can do renovations on your own schedule with no timeline, but also it just means that there is no guarantee that funds will be held for you. So it's kind of how much money is left in the program when you submit for the rebates. So that's our commercial program. So now that we've discussed the rebate programs that we have available, it's time to take a high-level look at our not yet launched, but soon to be launched Clean Energy Improvement Program, or CEIP, which is Alberta's version of a property assessed clean energy program. So SEIP provides residential and commercial property owners access to low-cost financing to make energy efficiency upgrades to their properties, or I should say, to install renewable energy. In SEIP, the financing is tied to the property and not to the individual or organization. So this mechanism allows the repayment obligation to be transferred to new owners of property, similar to the improvement charge for like a local improvement charge for sidewalks or paving, that kind of thing. So repayment of the individual SEIP financing will be done via property tax. So this is kind of like general SEIP talk, but today I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the Edmonton specific details for the purposes of this presentation. But if you are interested in learning more about SEIP in general, I would check out, I think there's a session at noon on Friday at lunch. So yeah, noon on Friday called Residential Solar Financing. Stephanie Ripley from the Alberta Municipal Services Corporation and some of her colleagues from Park Power and the CHP, I believe, are going to be talking about these financing opportunities. So I would definitely check that out if you want more information about programs like SEIP in general and about provincial, like broader provincial information. Okay. So the SEIP program has been a long time coming. So I'll go through a bit of the program development process for the city of Edmonton. So in January of 2019, that's when the legislation was passed to enable programs like SEIP to launch in Alberta. So this enabled municipalities to opt into the program by passing local bylaws. In December 2020, the city of Edmonton was awarded a grant from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities for $9.6 million to develop and launch a SEIP program. Since then, administration has been working hard and trying to get this program to take form. In August of last year, Edmonton City Council passed the Clean Energy Improvement Program tax bylaw, which officially allows SEIP to launch. And since then, we've been working hard to finalize our program plan and paperwork, and we're expecting to launch SEIP in the near future. I don't have news for you on an exact launch date today, but you'll notice this is Q1 of 2022, and that's looking like it will be quite feasible. Okay, so City of Edmonton program details. So this is a 2-year pilot program. The Alberta Municipal Services Corporation is the program administrator for all SEIP programs in the province. The City of Edmonton itself is going to be responsible for coordinating project financing and rebates to simplify the process for applicants. And wherever possible, rebates from the programs we've discussed today, so like solar, HERA, and HERA, will be used for reduction of financing required for each SEIP project. And also note that for all SEIP projects, province-wide, the projects must be completed by a qualified contractor. All right, so here we have a few more of our SEIP pilot program details. So some of these are going to be applicable to more municipalities than just Edmonton, but in general, these lists are what is going to be happening in Edmonton. So eligible properties for the residential section of our SEIP program include residential buildings with 1 to 4 units. The eligible financing amount is about $3,000 to $50,000. Estimated number of participants is 80. We're hoping to have about 80 homes participating. And then eligible upgrades list. So we're going to require about a minimum of 3 upgrades per home off of the SEIP eligible upgrades list. And then, like I said before, the targeted start date for our residential program will be Q1 of 2022. And then for commercial properties, eligible properties include designated commercial buildings, so like office buildings or warehouses, more. Eligible financing amounts are up to $1 million. The estimated number of participants is hopefully about 20. And then we're also going to require a minimum of 3 upgrades from the eligible upgrade list for the City of Edmonton as well. And then this portion of the program will start a little bit later. We're estimating Q2 of 2022. I'll also talk a little bit more about eligibility for SEIP before I close off the presentation. So First off, for a participant, so a person to be eligible for this CEAP, they must be the legal owner of the property that they're looking to make the upgrades on. They need to be current on their property tax payments for at least 5 years. It will need consent from a mortgage lender if you have a mortgage. And then the annual CEAP charge cannot be greater than the property owner's annual property tax bill. So we want to make sure it stays affordable. And in terms of expenses that CEAP can finance, these include things like capital costs of eligible upgrades, so things like equipment, products, and installation labor. We also can finance professional services, say like an engineering study. And then we also can finance incidental costs up to 15% of capital costs. So, if you're doing a solar PV installation and there needs to be a roof repair, that can also be financed. Okay. So before I end my like 30 to 40 minutes of talking at you, I just wanted to talk really quickly about our changeforclimate.ca blog. So here we have a spectrum of actions with over 30 ways in which we can reduce our impact on climate change. These actions are customized for Edmonton and organized by how impactful they are. So here you can share your actions and be notified as rebates or incentives become available. And also this blog posts stories of what Edmontonians like you or me are doing to reduce our impact on climate change. So if you're interested in being featured, please reach out. We would love to hear your story. All right, so that looks like that's it for the formal part of my presentation. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I'll pass it over to Heather. I think we're gonna start our moderated Q&A.
Thanks, Lauren. That was an awesome and informative presentation. So yeah, if you want to stop your screen share, then just the two of us will be here on the screen. But I see your colleagues are already actively participating in the chat, starting to answer a few questions. I just want to remind all of our participants that you're to ask questions in the Q&A section of the Zoom, and you can upvote each other's questions as well. There's a little thumbs up there, and you can click on it if you like somebody's question and you want it to go to the top. And I'm going to be pulling primarily from that for this moderated Q&A section. I know a few of the answers have already been taken care of through your presentation. So the first question was around the timeline for the introduction of CEAP. I think I heard a lot about the timeline for the introduction of the pilot. Do you have any idea when the pilot might be scaled up down the road? That's me extending on Diane's question, because I think a lot of us are worried we're not going to get in under the 80 household mark.
Yeah, that's a very fair question. I don't think we have any plans for that yet, but stay tuned, and I'm sure that will be coming shortly after we kind of get the pilot going and see what uptake's like, and yeah, just get a little bit more of an idea of what participation looks like.
Yeah, probably also depends a lot on our mayor's ability to negotiate a little bit more financial support for the expansion, I imagine. Not everything that you folks can take care of. I see some folks putting questions in the chat. I'd just like to encourage you to pull those questions over to the Q&A because it's a little hard for me to watch both of them.
Yeah. I'll also note too, like I think when the CEAP pilot's over, a report of findings and recommendations will be sent to council, so they'll make the ultimate call.
Sounds good. Okay, well, hopefully they'll see fit to expand it. I think everybody on the line's excited about that. Renata's wondering, so the outlined emissions reductions goals of your updated strategy are referring to emissions of what year? And Adam already responded 2005, but I just wanted to say that out loud in case anyone on the line is not able to read the chat today. So 2005, and do you have anything to add to that question, Lauren, around those measures?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, perfect. Nice to have all your colleagues in the chat there.
Yeah.
They're taking care of a lot of our questions, so that's nice. Okay, here's a good one. I get questions like this all the time. If a home has poor solar access due to trees on the south side of the property and would therefore not be able to reach net zero with solar, would the 10K rebate be considered if they reach near net zero?
So currently, as the HERA program stands, there needs to be like a 0 gigajoule rating, EnerGuide rating for the home. But in our HERA year 1 review, that's something we're looking at changing because we understand getting to that 0 is very difficult. So I think it's something that we're looking to.
Yeah, no, I've been getting a lot of questions like, can I pay for the rest through Bullfrog, you know, that type of thing, right? Can I offset the rest? And there's a very good question too, now that some folks are actually selling their carbon offsets. They no longer, you know, basically own that. So that'll also be another interesting factor for you folks to consider if they're no longer the owners of their own solar
Yeah, and
potential.
currently we don't allow RECs, and like that's something we haven't really discussed yet. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
again, in that year one review, we'll be making some tweaks. So
Lots of interesting food for thought. Hey, no, that's great. Thanks for the question to get us thinking outside the box. Obviously, we don't want to be chopping down all those lovely trees around our city. I know everybody's also thinking about how to plant more trees right now too. So a little of column A and B sometimes. All right, Lori's got a long question here. Our furnace and hot water heaters are getting old, and I wanted to look into the possibility of installing a heat pump, air or ground source, and alternatives for the natural gas hot water heater. We installed solar panels last year and were registered for the HERA program. We upgraded our windows to triple pane and put upgraded insulation and siding on our house a few years ago. We had an EnerGuide evaluation done last year. What advice would you have for us about where to start finding out if a heat pump is feasible and options for the for the hot water heater? So when the time comes, we're ready to replace.
well, that's awesome. It sounds like you've been so busy on your home, and thank you for making all those upgrades. So I think in the report that comes with your EnerGuide evaluation, there would also be a lot of good advice on that. So I'd also recommend referring back to that. But in terms of exploring heat pumps and equipment, the best thing I can tell you to do is to hire a reputable contractor that's qualified in that specific technology. So if it's an air source heat pump, you're going to want to get a contractor that might be recognized by an industry organization like the Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Institute of Canada, or something akin to that. And yeah, just make sure that the people you're talking to know the technology quite well and ask lots of questions. Yeah, I think that talking to contractors is your best friend when it comes to making these types of upgrades, because they're the real professionals when it comes to that technical information.
Yeah, it's definitely new territory. I think now with all the price increases on natural gas, a lot more people are asking us questions about you know, air source heat pumps and things of that nature. So we are actually in the process of upgrading our directory to start getting all of our installers registering if they themselves have integrated that service. So hopefully our directory will be a point of support and service soon. That said, not a lot of solar installers are currently doing air source heat pumps because that's a very mechanical sort of thing. And most of the solar installers are electricians. So it's an interesting piece of expansion. I have learned that some of the other programs around the province are training people in these installations. So there's definitely Albertans who know how to do it. So I appreciate your perspective, Lauren, that you just need to make sure they've got proper qualifications, so training from somewhere, and hopefully the Solar Alberta directory can become a guide for folks as well over time. But that is definitely a new area, so it's just being explored now by a lot of companies. Diane is wondering, oh, I had this question too. Will we be able to use CEIP at the same time as HERA?
Yeah, so we're essentially, yes, the answer to that question is yes. However, the way it's going to work is that the rebates that you'll get through HERA will be fed into your CEIP financing to reduce it. So the plan would be like if you took out $50,000 in CEIP financing, if you got $8,000 in HERA rebates, then your CEIP financing would be reduced to $42,000 for the most. Like that's the general plan with it. So it's just gonna help reduce the amount of money you need to borrow. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's very helpful. And sorry.
Yeah, and I'll note like that stacking of the rebates with CEIP will be automatic. Like the city of Edmonton will handle all of that internally.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Okay, that's nice. And I know a lot of solar installers too are really great at working with the city and others to actually help you navigate some of these financing pieces. When we got solar, I think our installer ended up jumping through pretty much all the hoops with us. The only hoop they aren't able to jump through right now is apparently the Canadian Greener Homes Grant, because they do require the homeowner actually jump the hoops themselves. But I appreciate the city's so willing to work with installers, take the load off a lot of us Edmontonians and others. Question from Cameron. If a home's property value increases due to energy efficient upgrades or solar installations, is the increase in property value tax exempt? That's a good question. I'll tell you, Lauren, I've been curious myself because I know that's best practice, and MCCAC recommends that municipalities don't incorporate that into their assessments. I know there are municipalities around Alberta that are still incorporating those value increases, but I actually don't know the situation in Edmonton. Do you happen to know that one, or shall we pull it over to the next meeting?
So I don't currently know the answer to that, but I'm really, really happy to look into it for you. I'm not too sure.
Awesome. And can you share that with me too, Lauren? Because I'm so curious myself, which municipalities are following best practice from MCCAC and which ones are still a little behind on that. So thank you for looking into that for Cameron. And maybe if you could share your email address in the chat or vice versa.
I definitely can do that. And also,
Awesome.
like, I know that you had mentioned the little Zoom meeting at the end, we're like a more intimate Zoom meeting. So if we pull that question into that, Barbara, who runs our CEP programming, will be there as well. So she can answer those like more nitty gritty questions.
Perfect. I do see her in the chat today. So it'll be nice to have her in the Zoom meeting room that we shift over to in a few minutes. So thanks for that question, Cameron. Lots of discussion about property taxes, especially when it gets to commercial, because I know, on an individual home, property tax might not be a huge amount of increase with the addition of solar, but when you get to a commercial build, sometimes that could be to the tune of like thousands of dollars a year, right? So it's a very good question. All right, so we're going to pull that over to the Zoom meeting room, or Cameron can follow up with Lauren, who has kindly put her email address in the chat for him. Tim is wondering, oh, thanks for your great presentation as well. Look at that, nice feedback. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Tim. It was a great presentation. What would be the first steps for a 101 unit 4-story condo complex to learn of grant availability details and steps? I can let you answer that. I will say we do have a page on the Solar Alberta website that we try to stay up to date with grants and everything. They're constantly changing. So of course it's never perfectly up to date. And then do you have additional information about where folks can go for more grant availability details and steps for multifamily units?
Yeah, so we have some solar grants for multifamily units, but currently we don't have a rebate program like HERA or BERA for multifamily. It's something we're currently exploring, and will be, stay tuned, I guess. But to keep an eye out for updates, I would just check out our Change for Climate website. As new programs launch, they'll be on there. And then if you sign up for our e-news, we'll also be putting out announcements there. So yeah, I would say stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And I know that I was in conversations with Service Alberta recently, because some folks, as they're putting their condos, they're just building new ones, they're working solar and other things like that right into their condo bylaws. So there's some really interesting creative things happening with condo bylaws and things of that nature. I will say to anyone who's interested in multifamily, we do have a community generation presentation Thursday at noon. And I will recommend that, because sometimes when you're doing larger units and multifamily and things of that nature, learning more about community generation can be a mechanism to support your installs. So there's still a ways to go with community generation projects as well, and creating proper incentives and supports for those. But definitely tune in on Thursday to learn more about some of the creative solutions people have for getting folks involved in solar who don't themselves own their roof. So that's all right. And now Kuldeep has asked, Lauren, is the similar program available for Calgarians? Oh, there's a big question. If yes, where should we look for that?
So yeah, I'm not as familiar with Calgary's programming. So I would encourage visiting their website. Yeah, that's the best information I have for you currently. I'm
Yeah.
not too sure about Calgary.
I have a little insight into that because Calgary is coming on Thursday to they're sponsoring our luncheon that day, and I know they are planning to launch their SEEP program as well this year. My understanding is it's not going to be a pilot; it'll be more like a full program. However, I don't know what they're funding like up until, right? Sometimes people don't call something a pilot, but they still have a limit on availability. So we'll find out more about Calgary, Solar Alberta, and you can always go to myseep.ca that Lauren referenced earlier, and all the different municipalities who are participating will be included there. So definitely check out myseep.ca. And also, as I mentioned, the City of Calgary is with us on Thursday. Might be able to answer a few of your questions at lunch that day. Patrick is wondering, where could we find a list of approved assessors for the EnerGuide home energy evaluations? And I see that has been posted in the chat by one of your colleagues, a nice handy link. So if you guys scroll back, where did I see that link posted? Adam posted it, I think. And of course, there's so much in the chat now that I kind of want to, let's see, Patrick. Oh yeah, he's replying here. A searchable database. I'm going to copy that and repost it in the chat. Now, this is all the approved EnerGuide assessors, and I'm posting it for everyone again, so you don't have to do all the scrolling. Oh, it's not loving that. Adam, maybe you can repost it now that we're back at that question. It's not loving my copy and paste right now. So yeah, there's that. Thanks so much, Adam. Awesome. And so we've got Craig's question here, which is, can the same NRCan approved pre and post energy audits be used to fulfill the requirements of HERA, CEIP, and federal greener homes programs? Aha.
Yeah, that's a good question. Great question. Yeah. Yes, the same pre and post retrofit energy audits are used to fulfill the requirements for HERA, CEIP, and Canada Greener Homes. So you don't have to get unique ones for each one. Yeah,
that's good. I suspect the timeline matters, like if it's current, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
You probably can't do one and then 4 years later do the other one, but or continue using it or something like that. But
yeah, it has to be current. Yeah,
as long as it's current, it's good to go for multiple programs. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Margaret, oh, I just love all the questions coming in. Thanks everyone for participating. Margaret's wondering, is there anyone in Edmonton who can install a heat pump? That relates to a question mentioned earlier. We are finding it hard to track down individuals, but I know Nate is graduating people regularly who do. So I have literally asked Nate to track down where their graduates have landed and send me a list of those companies. And I'm going to try and hunt them down so I can make reference to them, Margaret. So I'm hoping to get that research done for you in the next little bit, Margaret. And if you want to message me, executive.director@solaralberta.ca, I'll keep trying to find out. And we are trying to beef up our online directory to incorporate that question, because you're not alone, getting lots of questions about that lately. And I see Facebook and Twitter, everybody's saying, we need heat pumps, we need heat pumps. So we're going to need to have a whole heat pump association soon. So thanks for that question. Garth is wondering, I know people who pay more in transmission fees than they do on their energy bill. Is there a way to overcome these costs as well when sizing your PV system? I feel like that's a question for Solar Alberta. Lauren, do you mind me answering that question?
Go for it.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to steal your thunder here, but this is one I happen to know well. So currently, it is not legal for folks to actually size your system to overcome those transmission and distribution charges. The microgen regulation, which is going to be presented this afternoon at 3 p.m., actually forbids it. So, with the current legislation in Alberta, no, they can't size to overcome your transmission and distribution. That said, you will find, and I have found with my solar array, that typically we get enough credit in the summer that we're covering a good chunk of those winter transmission and distribution costs. So as you look at it over the course of a full year, you are covering off any of the variable components of the transmission and distribution. There are fixed components and they're not allowed to size to cover that, but there are the variable components that relate to your consumption. And those pieces the installer can size to overcome. So we do have Solar 101 on our website, a whole hour long of me and one of my amazing volunteers talking about that piece in particular. And then there's the microgen regs this afternoon with Fino from the AUC and Betsy from the GOA. If you'd like to see those microgeneration regulations changed, I encourage you to reach out to some of your MLAs. And of course, there is an election coming up. So if you want to be able to produce beyond your consumption, that is something that Solar Alberta has been advocating for, and we'd love your help with that. So there's my Solar Alberta answer, Garth. Thanks for your questions. Very good one. Shaylin is asking, can townhomes participate in your programs? Do you have any, sorry, I don't quite understand the question here, but do you have any suggestions for how to get owner buy-in for townhomes?
Yeah, so townhomes are eligible for HERA and for solar rebates. So you can participate. In terms of getting buy-in, I think, just framing the benefits of the program, like the idea of maybe depending on what the upgrade is you're looking at making, but so, saving money on utility costs, becoming energy independent if you're installing solar. I'm just really looking for those wins and those things that will make people's lives better by installing upgrades. Indoor air indoor comfort and indoor air quality improvements, all that kind of stuff. That's the way that I found to be the most
the best sales pitch, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it also depends on the person. So
yeah, it is hard when you're trying to convince a community. I know, having lived in multiple condominium developments myself, even trying to get folks okay with plugging in your partial EV can be challenging. But I have heard really compelling arguments about, community living and how, we all contribute. Someone was concerned that we were plugging in our partial electric vehicle at our our condo one day. And before I could say, oh, we'll pay the extra, all my neighbors chimed in and said, well, I don't even drive, and I paid for your parking lot refurbishment last year. And well, I don't use the dryers at our building, but I still pay for everybody else to use the dryers. So it was an interesting discussion more broadly, actually, about, the beauty of community and everybody chipping in towards some communal purchases. But it is a challenging piece, how to convince your neighbors to go in on stuff with you. I think we might need a whole other seminar about that.
Right.
I am getting a lot of great feedback in the chat from folks, so I do encourage everybody to take a look there. Stephanie's joined us today. Thanks, Steph. Oh. She's added some more CIP information there for people who are interested in how to make sure your contractor is qualified. So that's great. I see John saying Solar Club. It's true. Solar Club is one way to start to overcome some of those fixed charges, because you can actually participate in the Solar Club in Alberta. And that is one way to make sure you're getting a little more credit in the summer to overcome some other charges. Thanks for that, John. Good point. Solar Club's joining us this afternoon too. We've got Spot Power coming and Park Power on Friday, chatting Solar Club a little bit too. So lots of great questions. I've got more here to go, and I'm just loving this. Where do we find a list of qualified solar developers, installers? You'll have to bear with me, Lauren. You mentioned it, but yeah, my plug. So the city of Edmonton actually uses our list, Solar Alberta's list, as a guide for who's qualified. And to register through Solar Alberta, all of the installers have to sign off on a code of conduct. And so anyone you find in our directory will be good with the city of Edmonton. And Michael, if you have any trouble finding that on our website, just fire me an email. I know our website's a very heavy, there's a lot there. So if you have any trouble finding the directory there, just give me a shout. We actually also have a request for proposal system. So if you don't even want to mess around on our directory, you can just go request a quote and our qualified installers will contact you. So a few different options on our website, solaralberta.ca, for finding your qualified solar installers. and Gino. Welcome, Gino. Sorry you're having trouble getting through to the meeting. I'm glad you found your way in. Does using the CIP retire environmental attributes? Oh, I wonder if we should pop through to the Zoom meeting room for Barbara to dig in on that one. What do you think, Lauren?
I think that would be great.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's transition over to the Zoom meeting room now so that Barbara and Adam and some of the other City of Edmonton staff can join Lauren, because we're getting some really detailed questions here. And I'm going to ask Jill, Jerry, Anonymous, Nora, Terry, and Gino to come with us and ask your questions in person or post them in the chat in the Zoom meeting that we're going to go to now. This will give us a more relaxed opportunity to answer questions for the next little while. And we find that the conversation can be more fluid when we're in a Zoom meeting room. So I thank everybody for joining us for the webinar portion of this meeting. We're posting a link in the chat that will take us over to the Zoom meeting room. Did you see it there? It says me. It's not actually me. It's my secret. It's my colleague Lorraine. She's doubling as me today. And so if you click on the Zoom meeting room, we'll see you in that space very soon. And we'll close out the webinar portion so we can have some more relaxed chat with the rest of our City of Edmonton folks. Thanks so much, Lauren. That was an awesome presentation, and I'll see you in the meeting room now.